today was cool because I went for ice cream with two of my aunts to this ice cream place today. And we talked about Yadwinder Singh, and we were like, is Yadwinder Singh going to drop 279 pound super chat later when I stream? And he did. So thank you, Yadwinder Singh. I appreciate that. And we were at this ice cream place, and somebody. So the owner of the place, the guy working behind the counter. Thank you, Alexis. You're the goat. You're the goat. The owner who I saw a couple weeks ago when I went there with like 3 of my aunts, and then one of them has a bunch of kids, and we went there with all the kids, and there was like 9 of us, and my grandmother as well. There was like 9 of us, and the husband and wife couple that run this place were super nice and very accommodating with all the kids. It was kind of like pandemonium. And today I went back there without any of the kids, just me and 2 of my aunts, and we're sitting there. We ordered our ice cream. The guy made the ice cream for us, and he brought it over, and we're sitting there. And then he brings over he brings over mine, then he brings over my aunts, then he brings over my other aunts. And when he brings over the third one, he says, he's like standing there, and we're at this point the only people in the place. And he goes, last time you guys were here a couple weeks ago, I knew I recognized you from somewhere. And my aunt, God bless her, she's like, oh yeah, we were here a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, that ain't what he talking about. That ain't what he talking about. This is about to be a celebrity moment right now. This is about to be a fan love DJ Khaled moment right now. And I'm very humble. And he was like, yeah, he just went straight into the story. He was unprompted. He just went into the story. He's like, yeah, a while ago, I don't know how long ago he said, but some period of time ago, my wife and I got invited by some friends of ours to come to this networking event, and we went to the networking event, and it turned out that it was actually Amway, and they were trying to recruit us, and blah, 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 blah. And we came across your videos, and like we still see your videos, and I was like, oh my God, it was crazy. And like him and his wife are both standing there, like he's telling me the story, she's just there like smiling. And he's like, it's just one of those things where like I know your voice because you have a distinct voice, and but not necessarily seeing it, but just like hearing it, listening. And I was like, man, that's so fucking cool, because I love hearing people's stories about that, even more so than being recognized, which of course feels good to have people say like, oh, I've seen you on YouTube. Hearing people's stories about like how it's part of their life or how it's like a moment, I don't know. I just thought that was super cool, and I was very humbled by that. And it's always it's not so much a shock that it happens anymore, but it's always so cool still every time that it happens. So shout out to those 2. I don't know if they want me to say. I mean, they probably wouldn't be mad at me plugging their business, but I also don't want to like say a place that I might be and then the spies and assassins get me. So just go and try every ice cream place in Edmonton, and maybe you'll run into me, and then you'll know. So yeah, I just thought that was cool. Thumbs up the ting. Audio still good? Yes. In my defense, I should always do a test before I stream, but also in my defense, no, I mean, that's not in my defense. That's in my offense, I guess. But in my defense, I don't change nothing. I just plug everything back in the way that it's supposed to go. The lights, the camera, the microphone, the stream deck. I don't touch anything. I don't fuck with any settings, nothing. And sometimes I still have issues with the audio, or sometimes the software just doesn't work, or it's never a dull moment. And I just want to say too, thank you, Alexis, for being a member. Thank you for gifting a membership. Congratulations to Effective One for getting the membership. And I just want to say, I just want to say too, thank you guys for the support, because I've got a lot of love on this Unicity video, as well as the accompanying like content that I've been posting on TikTok and Instagram about it. And a few people very generously contributed to my Patreon in the last month, which really, really means a lot. And I'm kind of in a transitionary period right now where I don't know like where the next place is that I'm going to be living long term. But I'm just so grateful that I even have that that problem, if you can even call it a problem, to like be like, to have the freedom to say, okay, I work from my camera and my laptop and my internet connection, and I can essentially live anywhere that's affordable, and continue to do what I do. And it's largely because of the generosity of you guys who support me, and nothing else. Like the YouTube, YouTube doesn't pay a lot, especially not for channels like this one where, maybe I should be like clip farming more, where I stream for like 10 hours and talk about a million different things and then publish a million different videos. But we're not at that point yet. I haven't expanded to the point where I have like an editor and everything like that yet. So, yeah, I just want to say I really appreciate it. And, I've been very insistent on not taking sponsor money from things that I don't agree with or support. Like, I'm not going to promote gambling. I'm not promoting crypto. I've turned all of that stuff down and probably could have made a lot of money that I just thought in the long term, it's probably not worth the goodwill of, people and my reputation to do it, especially being like the anti-scam guy who's like trying to lead people down the right path, or at least not lead them down the wrong path. So, yeah, as a matter of fact, I wasn't ever going to talk about this, but I'll talk about it loosely. You guys have heard me talk about lawsuits in vague terms before, and how I've said, like, I'm never going to accept bribe money or a settlement to make some legal problem go away, especially if I think I was justified and that I never did anything wrong, which I think is the case in every one of my lawsuits. I've never lost a lawsuit. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. The people who have come at me always end up losing or going out of business, or some terrible fate befalls them one way or another. I will say, though, I was reached out to a few months ago by a company that seemed like a legit company. I'm not suggesting that it's like a fraud or anything, but it seemed to be like a company that was kind of in line with what I would talk about or promote. I don't want to give away too much detail. It's for sure a company none of you would ever have heard of, but it's like a startup. It's a financial like startup type company. And I was maybe 2 or 3 emails deep in the conversation, and they were really insistent about getting on a Zoom call with me, or like a call to discuss a deal more. And at this point, I had already outlined to them, based on what they do, and based on like my channel analytics or whatever. I think I sent them my recent analytics. We were talking about like a several $1,000 sponsorship deal, where they were going to pay me several $1,000s to promote or talk about their service. And I did a little bit more research on the company and who they are. And look, I'm not going to say who they are. If they watch this, which would be very unlikely, they'll know who they are. But I did some research, and I saw that they were it's not even a political thing. I would never not work with a brand because they're like of a certain political party or something like that. But this was just like a little bit more than that. And basically, I was looking up the founders of the company, the 2 founders, and they're both like I found their personal like Facebook pages, and they're both like super pro-Israel Zionists. Look, I fuck with the money, right? We love it when the companies try to back up that Brinks truck. I love it. Bring it. But I heard the voice. Oh my, this is a perfect moment to use this.
Hey, Marco, don't do this.
That's a soundbite of Netanyahu from the Nelk Boys interview, telling a story about his old military buddy named Marco. And he says,
hey, Marco, don't do this.
What are the fucking odds, And I was like, I'm not fucking promoting this thing. I'm not fucking promoting this. I didn't say nothing to him. I didn't tell them the reason. I just sent them another email back, and I said, I said some professional shit. I was like, after further consideration, I actually don't think it's a good fit. Wishing you all the best. I just kept it super professional. They hit me back. They were like, oh, would you mind explaining why? You're testing me. You're testing me. You're tempting me.
What you were about
You
to...
would love if I said some shit about Israel so you can screenshot these emails, and then next thing you know, I'm in a fucking New York Times article about how I'm anti-Semitic or something. Good luck. Nice try. Nice try. I just never responded. And you know, it's like the balls on y'all, you know? The balls on you guys to even reach out to me in the first place. It's like, y'all know I'm Lebanese, right? Not even that. Not that even would preclude me from doing work with them. It's not even I had somebody unsubscribe from my Patreon a few months ago. Somebody who is like an active chatter and commenter and like was on my Patreon, and on their exit survey, like when someone unsubscribes from your Patreon, someone can they can fill out an exit survey that says why they're unsubscribing, like, I don't have enough money or whatever the reason is. And this guy fucking wrote a thing that was like, I won't support an anti-Jewish creator. I'm like, who said anything about Jewish? Nobody said Jewish nothing. What are you talking about? And Mans wasn't even Jewish, by the way. He was like one of these Christian, like American Zionists, So funny. So a hilarious demographic within itself. But anyways, all this to say is that, like, it was one of those opportunities where I was like, if there is a God is watching me, supposedly. At least this is what they say. God is watching me navigate through the decisions of my life. God is watching me sit in the, interrogation room in my lawyer's office with the opposing counsel. God is watching the opposing counsel say to me, just sign this paper and all of this goes away and never talk about our company again. And you probably don't talk about a million topics every single day. How often do you talk about scuba diving or parasailing or, custom bike, motorcycle or bicycle manufacturing? If somebody said, I'm going to pay you $1 million to never talk about this topic ever again, you probably would have you'd be like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. What do I have to not talk about? Name anything. I can't talk about fishing. I don't even care about fishing. There's a million things you don't pay any mind to every single day. This is just one of those things where I've lived it. I've experienced the loss that comes from having a close friend or relative in multi-level marketing. I did a whole video about my former best friend. And I've been making these videos now for going on 6 years. And I've heard countless stories from people in MLM, people who used to be in, people who have lost friends, family. I've heard about the divorces, the familial estrangements, the suicides, the financial ruin, it goes on and on and on. The mental anguish. It's literally incalculable levels of evil. And this is just one thing I'm sorry. If there is a God, he's watching the paper slide across the table and the opposing evil lawyer say, just sign this and it all goes away. Fuck you. I can't imagine anything good, whether you believe in God or karma or whatever it is. I can't imagine anything good comes from you betraying your own moral compass for money. Money. Something that goes away anyways. Something that, you never know if you're going to have it tomorrow if you have it today anyways. So, I said no then when that when that lawyer thing happened. Anytime they've tried to settle with me, I said no. In any instance, it's been a no. As a matter of fact, it's not even been a no. It's been like okay, pay me $10 million. Like a ridiculous thing that they'll never pay, just so they know how much of a no it is. Just so they know it's like, it's not just a no, it's a fuck you. It's a fuck you no. And and when the one company was hitting me up about the sponsorship, and I find out that like the founders are just like super pro Israel, I was like, you know what? this is a similar thing where it's like, once again, money has presented itself. If only I would sign the paper and betray what I know is like common sense, right and wrong. Don't negotiate with pyramid scheme scammers. Common sense. Don't take money from an Israeli company. Common sense. You know, uh, it, I'm good. I'm good. So, anyways, all this to say is that I don't know. I feel like every time um even like I feel like every time I stick to my guns, every time I've ever bet on myself, it's always been the right thing. In my life, the mistakes, the things that I can say were truly mistakes, were things where I was trying to appease somebody else who didn't actually have my best interests at heart, and because I thought that there was some like favor that would be repaid in the future, or they would, they would end up seeing my value and make it worth my while in the future. And I was like relying on the kindness of unkind people. And that I've been burned so many times by that in my life. I swear nobody knows this lesson better than me and has learned this lesson harder than me and more times than me. That most people are, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And that sucks, because I was never that way. I might have said this story before, but when I was in grade 8, I remember my grade 8 English teacher, Mrs. Keynes, RIP. For whatever reason, I don't remember the exact circumstance, but I was the last person in the class. Maybe I had finished writing a test, or it was the end of the day or something, but I was the last person in the class, and Mrs. Keynes was there, a very sweet old lady. And she had this tray of like muffins, chocolate muffins on her desk. And I don't know if she had brought them or they had been gifted to her or whatever, but she had this tray of amazing chocolate muffins on her desk. And she saw me, like, as I was leaving the class, she saw me like looking at them as I was talking to her. And she was like, "Oh, do you want a muffin?" She just said it casually like that. "Do you want a muffin?" Me, just, I don't know, it's just the way I was raised, I guess. I was like, "No, no, no, thank you, but I appreciate it." She she could tell in my eyes I wanted a muffin. She was like, "Are you sure? You can have one. There's lots." And there was lots. There was like a dozen of them. I was like, "No, no, really, it's fine. I don't want one. No, it's good." And motherfucker, I did want one. And I left the classroom without taking one. And to this day, I think about it. To this day, I think about how I wanted a muffin. And I didn't take one, even though it was offered to me. I didn't ask for it. It was offered to me. I did the like, "No, no, it's fine." The door was totally open. The light was green for me to be like, "All right, well." And nobody would have judged me for it. She was a sweet old lady offering me one. And I wanted one. And there was nobody even around aside from me and her who could have judged me. And I judged myself because I thought it was rude. I thought me being offered something was rude. And me accepting an offer was rude. So think about that. That's me in grade 8. Now imagine me when I'm 20, 21, 22, whatever. And I'm the same person who thought it was rude to accept a muffin from my teacher, which was like the most simple. It wasn't even a transaction. It was just her giving me something. I thought that was rude. So you can imagine that I didn't have the greatest sense of like, is boundaries the right word? I don't know if boundaries is the right word, but anyways, I don't mean to ramble or like trauma dump or anything like this, but yeah, I assumed other people had a little bit of that as well. I assumed that other people thought the same. I assumed that if you did something kind for someone, or if you had somebody's back in a way, that they would just automatically go, "Oh, wow, I'm so grateful for that." And, I'm going to have Marco's back in return. That's what I always thought, because that's how I am, and you always project how you are onto others. If you're like a suspicious and distrustful person, that, I hate to say it, but in a lot of cases, that's probably because you're a sus and untrustworthy person. Although that's not always the case. I'm pretty skeptical of people, and because of what I do and what I've seen, but you get my point. And yeah, there's a saying, I give without remembering, receive without forgetting. When I give something away, I don't expect a favor in return. I did it because it made me feel good to do it, and I wanted to do something nice for someone. I'm not even going to think about it. I don't buy my friend lunch and think, oh, this guy owes me $15. And when I receive something, I think, wow, I really appreciate that. How can I repay that? You know? Or I'll think, you paid last time. Let me, that's how I think. And, I've just learned that most people aren't like that. And I've really had to train that sort of response in my own brain, where now I'm at a point, I'm almost fucking 30 years old. I'm 29 years old. And now I'm at a point where not only is it, no, I don't want a muffin. It's like we're on the complete opposite end of the spectrum of no, I don't want a muffin. Now it's like, do you want $1 million? And I'm like, fuck you. You know what I mean? Because I guess the big difference being it's not just being offered to me, no strings attached. It's like, now do you want the chocolate muffin, but also you have to sell your soul for it and betray your own moral compass? Of course not, But this is the thing. It's like, I feel like every experience in my life has sort of led up to and perfectly contributed to me doing what I'm doing now. I feel like that chocolate muffin story is like part of, you know, part of who I am now, I guess. So, um, yeah, getting back to the point, anytime that I've bet on myself and not relied on other people to repay the favor or whatever, or hope that they would, that's always when things have worked out the best for me. That's always when when I stopped trying to help other people blow up on YouTube and focused on me trying to blow up on YouTube. That's surprise when it happened. When it actually started to happen, I still wouldn't even say I've blown up on YouTube, but yeah. So sorry, Zionist sponsorship offer, no thanks, and sorry, people suing me trying to get me to shut up for money, also no thanks. Okay, let me see. Let me see what y'all talking about in here. Read some comments. Jessica asking about the tour. Will it be during the 2025-2026 school year? I would like it to be. It's July right now. We're in the summer right now. I don't expect to book anything now. But yeah, hopefully during the school year. I thought it would make sense to post about it now and put it out into the world now because, maybe in the future it will. Snakes and Doggies commented, what, 150, that's it? Where do I sign up? Do you take e-transfer? What is that for? Oh, he's asking somebody in the... Oh, okay. He's replying to somebody in the chat. Okay. Okay, let me... We love the lag. I gotta get the lag. Okay. No more remote viewing said the best MLM is based on remote viewing. It's all about neurolinguistic programming. Okay. You made the ice cream fresh churned? Hilarious. I'm gonna build Amway in Minecraft. Do it. People get sent to Edmonton when they messed up in at least 10 previous lives. That's so funny. For real, though. Edmonton is on the list, is next to reincarnation as a rock in Siberia. Yeah, I would agree with that. You can make 200 clips from each stream. Also true. What up, Effective One? Appreciate you. You can't buy integrity, says John. You are respected because you earned it, and your info is worth more than the money you receive. Fact. I appreciate that. Did I take down my Unicity vid? No, it's there. Oh, I renamed it. I'm experimenting with a new title and thumbnail after the video's been out officially 1 month tomorrow, and yeah, I just want to experiment with like I have a thumbnail test running with like 3 alternate thumbnails and a different title. I've temporarily changed the title of the Unicity video, but it's still there. It's still the same video. I'm just experimenting with it. Have we got to the point where we can call people anti-Semitic if they start talking crazy about Drake? LOL. So funny. Yeah. No Drake slander. Has Mel Ramnav says, has Marco ever given his thoughts about Kendrick versus Drake? Vizmayam says, has Marco ever given his opinion on Drake? Oh boy, please let him read this exchange. That's so funny. Yeah, we love Drake. We love Drake. Oh, by the way, actually no, let me surprise y'all with this in a minute when we read this. Let's get to the title of the stream. The title of the stream is, what if I told you, what is even the title of the stream? What if I told you there is only one MLM? What if I told you there is only one MLM? Well, we're going to actually, don't take it from me. Don't take it from me, because there's somebody who could explain it much better than me. And we're going to read what he said about it. And you'll probably be unsurprised to know that the person that I'm referring to here is Robert Fitzpatrick, the GOAT. Robert Fitzpatrick, author of the books False Prophets and Ponzi-nomics. Thank you, Unplug. Appreciate it. Appreciate you. Thank you for the support. Robert Fitzpatrick has written an article called Quiz, How Many MLMs Are There? This was on July 1st, so I'm a little bit tardy doing this, so thank you for your patience, and thank you, Robert, for writing this. Robert Fitzpatrick has written an article called Quiz, How Many MLMs Are There? Clue, you don't have to count. We're going to read this. We're going to read this article so that you can actually understand what I mean by this and what Robert means by this, and why, in fact, there is only really one MLM, despite us knowing that there are hundreds, if not 1,000 plus. This is Mel's second live. Well, welcome. Viz Mayhem says, it's like when 50 wanted to sign Mace and Diddy wanted 50 Cent's entire album rollout profit from his 50's first album to break Mace's contract. There you go. Joshua says, Jews for Marco. Love that. Love that. Thank you. Thank you. Goons for Marco. Para la gente. So true. Where's Collect Direct Goofball? Dale? He's out. He's out. Bro gives money to a bum and doesn't shove a camera in his face for views. Wild, right? Treytino, let's go. What up, Treytino? Where's the let's go for Treytino?
Let's go.
Best shirts from the flea market ever. I was in Boy Scouts until I ate a brownie. Okay, good. Took a while, got the jokers out of the deck now. I'm holding all the cards and want to play chess now. Come on now. Drake has a bar for everything. It's so true. Dead Poop, what up? Dead Poop 420. Ali Shamshad, what up? Samuel, this is a live stream, buddy. This is a live stream. We're live. Fuck it, we'll do it live. What up, Benjamin? All the cult. We need gruel, yes. Okay. Let's read this. It says, no one has verifiable and current data on the total number of MLM companies in the USA or globally. Wikipedia cites sources for over 1,000 MLMs in the USA alone. The website MLM Truth has attempted to document current and defunct MLMs in the USA, organizing them alphabetically. Counting just from A to D, 163 enterprises are listed. The USA is only 20% of the global MLM market. As MLMs can't be reliably counted, they cannot be accurately measured either. No government agency or economic body monitors the scale of MLM. Annual sales and number of distributors are whatever the MLMs say they are. The largest MLM in the world is commonly thought to be Amway, but Amway is actually dwarfed by the Chinese MLM Tian's that claims 14 million distributors in over 120 companies. Coincidentally, Tien's was launched in China the same year, 1995, that Amway started operating in that country. MLM revenue is only one measure of consumer damage. Costs for seminars, travel, hotels, coaching, training, entertainment, and motivation are additional costs. To these must be added lost opportunity costs, displaced productive work and education, and then there is the debt incurred. No one has ever calculated total financial losses. Social harm is immeasurable. Really glad he makes this point. I just want to jump in here and say this. It would be almost impossible to calculate the financial losses of everyone who has ever been in MLM. We know that virtually all the people who join MLMs end up losing more money than they make. But it would require such a transparent and retroactive disclosure from every MLM, which would just be impossible to ascertain at this point because they're so notorious for shady record keeping and fraudulent accounting that you wouldn't even be able to trust their books if they did hand them over to you, number one. And number two, a lot of the people who started the earliest MLMs or were responsible for record keeping, I would have to imagine are dead. Like, I would be surprised if some of these accounting records even exist. And even then, think of something like Scott Johnson's favorite, like the tool scam, right? Those independent business owners, those distributors who are doing training sessions for their downlines where they're charging like $5 a head or whatever, that's money that isn't actually directly part of the MLM itself. So there's literally no way to track that, but it would still be a cost incurred to a new recruit. They would still be paying for it. So if we're interested in actually measuring the money going out of people's pockets, it's literally impossible to calculate. And on top of that, as Robert says here, the social harm is immeasurable. What is the actual, imagine you're standing before a judge and you have to explain, you do a great job explaining what harm was incurred and what deception was at play that caused you to lose all the money that you lost as part of being part of an MLM company. Well, how does a judge levy a punishment or give you some sort of restitution based on something other than money? There's other types of value than money. And in a situation where somebody's marriage has been torn apart, or somebody has become estranged from all their friends and their reputation has been flushed because of their involvement with a cult, or someone has committed suicide. Money is nice, but money simply can't fix those things. It's merely a consolation. It's a consolation prize, if you will. Robert goes on to say, my colleague, the late John M. Taylor, and I estimated that between us, we personally examined more than 500 MLMs. John Taylor, refresher for you guys, is the one who wrote the 2011 Consumer Awareness Institute report that examines the compensation plans of hundreds of MLMs and determines that they all suffer the same fatal flaws: the endless chain, the 99% loss rates, etc. Each one prompted by a consumer request or complaint, a journalist inquiry, a lawsuit, or a prosecution over a number of years. I decoded MLM's income disclosures to show that 50 to 80% of total MLM payouts on all sales transactions, disguised as commissions and bonuses, are directly transferred to the top 1%. Okay, so 50 to 80% of all the money that was ever paid out went to just the top 1%. So what about the other 20%? Going to the people who fall somewhere between the second, the 2, and 100 percentile of the company. As you can imagine, it's not only is it virtually nothing, it's going to be actually in the negative after you factor in expenses. John Taylor waded into MLM average income data and factored associated costs and required purchases, which he knew of from personal experience in MLM, to reveal that 99% of all MLM recruits lose money. We also examined qualification rules and policies that define MLM as a closed, rigged, and price-fixed market. This painstaking... Oh, here. Thank you, Zorro Knows Better. Let me read this. Just wanted to say I love what you're doing. My mother keeps getting caught in MLMs. The one she is caught in now is called LifeWave. Might be worth checking out. It's so scummy. Definitely heard of LifeWave. Thank you, Zora Knows Better. I really appreciate the support and really sorry to hear about your mom getting caught up. Isn't that something that people will get in one and then still think it's their fault and still think that another one is going to fix it, you know? And, you know, that another one is better. It's really wild. Benjamin says it's all about residual incomes, and you better thank a union member.
It's all about residual income.
Where's my Kamala?
Yeah, girl, I'm out here in these streets.
Didn't I fucking have a thank a union? Don't I have one of those? Thank a union. Okay, I need to add that to the stream deck if I don't have that.
Hey, Marco, don't do this.
We got Netanyahu on the soundboard. We've got Kamala. We've got Trump. We've got DJ Khaled. I mean, what more do you need?
Thanks, Marco.
Okay. The painstaking and frustrating endeavor led to documenting the 4 operational characteristics we observed in each and every MLM we researched. The endless recruiting chain structure, pay-to-play requirements, upfront and monthly mandated recruiting to gain promised rewards, and a compensation formula of extreme internal money transfer from the last ones in to the earlier ones at the top. Of course, we saw that these are precisely the characteristics of a classic pyramid scheme. This answered the 2 questions we were both most often asked. What about this MLM? And are all MLMs pyramid schemes? Once the MLM/pyramid characteristics are identified in the enterprise, which takes about 5 minutes, the first question is answered by the second one. That yes, the first one is a pyramid scheme, and yes, all of them are pyramid schemes. These facts led us to the obvious and inescapable conclusion that MLMs are not businesses. Nowhere in the world is a pyramid scheme, which is inherently deceptive, harmful, and unsustainable, treated as a legitimate business enterprise. Nowhere in the world is a 99% failure rate called a business opportunity. You know, there are certain games in casinos where you have like a 49% chance. I think blackjack, if I'm not mistaken, has the best odds of any casino game. You wouldn't call going to the casino a business opportunity. You know, you wouldn't call playing blackjack a business opportunity. It's gambling. Now imagine you knew for a fact that something, no matter your effort or your abilities, had a 99% loss rate. Would you call that a business opportunity? I wouldn't. You know? Somebody who said, if we asked somebody, what do you do for work? And they said, I don't know, I just try to count cards at the casino and play blackjack. You would think they're crazy. Finally, the answer to how many MLMs. From these realizations, and from hearing the same pitiable accounts all over the world, year after year, I finally arrived at the true and current number of MLMs in the world. The number is 1. The pretense and the illusion of multiple MLMs is part of the scam. It is another element of disguise, like the overpriced products, the phony rank titles, executive, ultimate, unicorn, double diamond, president business. You get me. Calling purchases by recruits sales, manipulated income disclosures, and the cruel promise of success to those who believe and trust the system. The perception that there are multiple MLMs, each independent and distinct, and that they must therefore be examined one at a time, as John and I spent years doing, is arguably MLM's most effective disguise for entrapping consumers and invading law enforcement. By appearing as many different companies, MLM can better scam more people in more places and spread more rapidly. It can defraud the same people in the same way over and over. We just had in the chat Zorro, who donated $10 and said, "My mother keeps getting caught in MLMs." This is exactly what Robert's referring to here. I have met people who were in as many as 12 different MLMs, losing in each, of course, and are still searching. MLM victims are led to believe their MLM is unlike all the others. Working on a case-by-case basis, the FTC and other law enforcement can waste years to prove that one MLM, and only one, is a pyramid scheme. Their case is subverted and rendered pointless by their own policy that all the identical MLMs are presumed legitimate. Great point. Any MLM that gets sued for being a pyramid scheme and actually gets taken to task by the Federal Trade Commission, for example. Well, think of all the analysis that the Federal Trade Commission would do about a company before they bring an actual case against it, never mind the years and resources that they would spend in court litigating it, right? If you did even a fraction of all of that research on any MLM, you would see all of the same red flags that substantiate the case that Pyramid A was a pyramid scheme. You know, you would find it about all of them. And I suspect that the FTC knows this. The actual people that work there, I suspect they know this. In reality, all MLMs are just elements of one and the same cultic racket, one monster with many heads like the Hydra. He puts a picture here. Failed or closed MLMs regenerate like Hydra's heads. Top recruiters migrate their downlines to another MLM or start a new MLM. MLM owners pop up over and over under new company names. Think no further than Alex Morton, one of my favorite people to talk about because I think he's one of the most evil and destructive people on our planet today. He, for around 15 years now, has been scamming people with pyramid schemes. First, it was Vima. Vima was shut down for being a pyramid scheme. Alex Morton was their #1 promoter. Then he was in an MLM company called UNES. Then he went to another MLM company called I Am Academy, which just recently shut down after being sued by the FTC for being a $1.2 billion fraud operation, one which I reported on 4 years ago and received insane backlash, not only from the people who were in it, but from people like Alex Morton himself, who made subliminal posts talking about me on his Instagram, trying to discredit me and whatever. And I also suspect, or at least I should say, I wouldn't be surprised if my Instagram being taken down 15 different times during May and June of 2021. I wouldn't be surprised if he had something to do with that, paying for bots or whatever to report my account. Alex Morton has now gone on, post I Am Academy, to a new MLM called GIFU, Jifu. Yeah, FU. And once again, it's the greatest opportunity. It's going to allow you to dream bigger and go higher than ever before and blah, 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 blah. He is a literal career scammer. His entire career is built on pushing fraud onto kids by saying, recruit 5 people who recruit 5 people and just believe and don't listen to anyone else. And if somebody doesn't want to support you, cut them out of your life, and on and on. David E. Monetier. First, Organo Gold. Prepaid Legal when it was called Legal Shield. Actually, it was called Prepaid Legal first, then it changed to Legal Shield because the infamous killer Jodi Arias murdered her upline / boyfriend, Travis Alexander, and both of them were in Prepaid Legal, so they rebranded to Legal Shield. David E. Monetier was in that one. Then he was in Organo Gold. Then he was a promoter of the infamous Ponzi scheme OneCoin. Then he was in I Am Academy, and now he's gone on, as of 2 years ago, to start his own MLM, Envision You. That's the spray technology one. Once again, a career crook, a career scammer, a psychopath who smiles into the camera, smiles in the faces of people who he is robbing with deception, with fraud. Jason Brown, also, who was from I Am Academy, Matt Rosa, you might remember those guys. Guess what? They were also in Vima. Austin Godsey, now in jail. He was in Vima, and he was in Wake Up Now. Then he was in I Am Academy. Then he was in GIFU. Now he's in jail. Unfortunately, he's in jail for something completely unrelated to MLM, which he deserves to be in jail for on its own, in my opinion. He's in jail for violence against a woman. So, and Cash Cartier. Cash Cartier also was in Vima, if I remember correctly, and is in jail for murdering his girlfriend. I'm always right about these people. I'm always right. You know what's such an amazing thing about evil people is they often look evil. Isn't that an amazing thing? I talk about the dead eyes of people in MLM, like in Unicity, I talked about that. Isn't it, you can look up your local city's most wanted list. Search up city, the name of your city, most wanted list, or, high alert notice or whatever. Go look at the faces, look at the mugshots of those people. Some of them, just their face is enough to send a chill down your spine and make you feel uneasy, because you look at their face and you just know it is an evil person. It's like looking at a shark's eyes or a crocodile's eyes. Black, soulless eyes. You know, and I don't think this is a pseudoscience. We have evolved over millions of years to read faces and to understand, nonverbal communication, and we have a fight or flight response. We have a gut feeling for a reason. It's a survival mechanism that we've evolved over time. That feeling of something's just not right about that guy. It's really it's really a blessing that we have that, because you can look at some of these people and just tell this is an evil motherfucker. I think Alex Morton is one of those people. Moving on. Multiple MLMs should all be seen as appendages, grotesque heads of the original MLM monster, Nutrilite, hatched in 1945. Every MLM on Earth is an extension of the Nutrilite beast. Here is the big bombshell. Every MLM is just an extension of Nutrilite. If you look at what I posted recently, I made a community post. It's also on my Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, go check it out, where I was at an Amway location in South Korea. Here's the post. Here's me at Amway. We'll look inside. Let me open this full screen here. If you see, actually, let me open the Instagram post, because YouTube community post only lets you make 5 slides, and on Instagram I'd actually posted more. All right, so we should be able to see this. If you see here on the rug, it says on the floor here, Nutrilite. Nutrilite, after it was acquired by Amway, now Nutrilite is just the name of one of Amway's brands. It's like their supplement and powder brand. So here we are in South Korea. This is literally a few weeks ago. This is less than a month ago that this photo was taken. Here I am standing inside of an actual section of an Amway business center, they call it. This is like the fake little store section where they have Nutrilite. You can buy Nutrilite. You see the little containers of powder here. Looks kind of like Herbalife, funny enough, the green and the white color scheme. But this is Amway. There's their excess energy drink. This is a funny little machine here. It's like the self-checkout machine. But if you zoom in here, you'll see what I saw, which says you can choose ABO member or ABO member. And you actually can't even shop here unless you have an ABO number, unless you're already an Amway business owner, which is hilarious, because the whole setup of the shop, of the business center, is made to look like a store. You see there's aisles, there's shelves, and there was even a lady that I spoke to who was pushing a cart around, and it looks like she's shopping, but she's not really shopping in an authentic sense, because you have to put in your Amway number, your Amway IBO number, in order to even buy anything from there. And of course, you're incentivized to buy, because buying is how you increase your PV. So you're buying from yourself. You're buying to try to get a rebate. You're buying to try to, boost your own numbers and get more points and whatever. And fun fact, I have a story about my experience here at this Amway place. Wrong button. This will come as sort of a stream exclusive here. There was, when I was leaving that Amway business center, there was a Korean family there who, the son was in his 20s, and he actually spoke perfect English. He had spent some years living in the U.S. And he had come to me after, and I was chatting with him and his family, and his parents were like really high up in Amway in South Korea. They were like ambassador Crown Diamond, something like that. And he translated for his mom, who was speaking in Korean. And I don't know what it is about people in pyramid schemes wanting to buy me hot chocolate. If you remember in my ACN Part 2 video, Justin from ACN buying me hot chocolate when I met him at that cafe. But this guy was like, my mom wants to buy you the latest copy of our Amway like winner's catalog or whatever. And if you'll bear with me for 5 seconds here, I'll grab it and I'll show you this. Okay. This is it. It's called Achieve. This is their 2024 Amway catalog, Amway Korea Recognition book. They sell this for money. You can pay for this as an Amway distributor. You can go into the store and buy it. And all it is, it's not a huge book. It's sort of like a magazine. Very high quality paper, however. And literally, the entire book, the first pages, look, it's organized by like page 32, Founder's Crown. Then we go Double Diamond, Executive Diamond, Founder's Diamond, blah, blah, blah. Look at this. You go here. They show you a bunch of highlights from the previous year. They show you a bunch of Amway products. Wait for it. See, there's their like water ionizer thing. E-Spring, they call it. They have everything. It's fucking insane. Nutrilite products in Korean and English. Their air purification filter. Okay, now look at this. This is what the whole book is. This is the whole book. Oh yeah, this couple, they used to do this for a living and now they're this rank and they make this much money and their life is so amazing. Like multiple page spreads about a single couple. And this is like really high quality paper. Like, you know, the material is really good. And it's just, I can't wait to go through and like, I'll use my phone camera to translate all this, but I already know what it says. Let's be real. And this is the whole book. And so this guy who I met up with, his parents are in the book. I'm not going to spoil who his parents are yet, because you'll see that in my Amway Asia video that I'm working on. But he bought me this, or rather his mom bought me this, but I went back up to the store with him and, you know, they bought me this as a gift and his parents signed it and wrote like a little message in there. I'll tell you what they wrote. This is going to be a spoiler for the people on stream because you guys are the real OG goons. His mom wrote, pay the price in English, even though she didn't speak English from what I understood. And she wrote it in her name in Korean. And his dad wrote, see you at the top. On top of that, you know, they bought me this to inspire me because I told them, you know, I'm such a good actor. And if it weren't for the knowledge I have on this topic, I would have never been able to get away with this. But I had like a fake backstory about, you know, my name's David and I'm an Amway distributor from Texas and I'm just here visiting and blah, blah, blah. I can't remember exactly how much this was, but it wasn't cheap. I want to say it was like $30 for this. He also bought me hot chocolate. This right here, it's called, what the fuck is this called? I don't know. It's in Korean. Cafe de Daemon. This is an Amway. It's not actually Amway. It's a company called, let me see. They had it on here somewhere. 1 for 1. It's manufactured by a company called 1 for 1, but they have a distribution deal. The guy was explaining to me. You see the box is kind of crushed because I brought it in my suitcase from Korea. But if you look here on the side of it, where did I find that? I found it on here before. Here. If you see, I don't know if this will focus on the camera. Yeah, okay, there we go. Right here, it says Amway. Amway.co.kr, Korea. So this is sold at the Amway store. It's an Amway, literally, honestly, if we fill up this Donegal, I'll literally drink one of these. It's little sachets, little packets, the most MLM-y thing you could imagine. Packets of hot chocolate powder. You know, just, and he bought me this as well. It's just truly remarkable. The painting, Edward Manet, the Monet family in their garden. That's the art piece on the box. I'm sure if I looked up the relevance of that painting, there's probably some Illuminati child sacrifice Zionist weirdo shit that that has to do with that painting, just because of how interconnected it all is. But yeah, so he bought me these two items, the Amway book and the Amway the Achieve what's it called? Achieve book with all the people's success stories inside of it, as well as look, here's the lowly peasants that only made $10 million a year instead of 10 bajillion, and the hot chocolate. It's just something insane. But I bring this up because we're reading this article where we talk about Nutrilite and the Nutrilite Beast. Let me read your guys' comments here before I finish off this thing and get back into it. It's like a Scientology center. Absolutely, it's exactly what it's like. Peace out, Alexis. Alex Morton has no hose. So true. Dead Poop says Legend Gaming's mom is a business opportunity. Ayo. Okay. I swear you better thank a union member on the sounds. Me too. Oh my god, Dead Poop, your comments kill me. MLM most lose money. True. Benjamin says the roulette is a classic example of seeing house cut because you bet black or red to double your money. If it was only those two, the game wouldn't work. This is why the two green exist. Interesting. Good luck, John Reardon. Jelly Snack, what up? That's a social media post, not a subliminal post. What do you mean? I Am Academy has morphed into Zinrai. Insane. Someone I went to high school with is in an MLM called GFI. Yeah, that's a spinoff of WFG. Just like PHP is a spinoff of WFG, and WFG is a spinoff of an MLM that I probably shouldn't say the name of. How does Patrick Bet-David fit into all this? Because he was in an MLM, which was called World Financial Group, which was a spinoff of another MLM, which I shouldn't say the name of, and that MLM was a spinoff. Rather, the founder of it was in Amway. It all comes from Amway. Chris Terry, the founder of I Am Academy, guess what? He was in Amway. Trump, who promoted ACN for 10 years, when he was president, he made his Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos. Betsy DeVos is the wife of Richard DeVos Jr., who is at the time was the head of and is the son of the founder of Amway. It's not really shopping, yes. To get a discount. Dave Vaughn says, if product sales mattered, they would use a lottery system to assign customers to ABOs at checkout. But of course, that's not the game. Exactly. Why can't you just sign up for an ABO number right there at the checkout? Why do you have to go sit down with someone and do all that? Amway pushed that monthly ditto. Had an upline say $200 monthly on products is nothing. Then he would say, how can you own a business if you don't know the product? So funny. Panya head top, so true. Yeah, his mom wrote in the book Panya head top. Hilarious. See you at the top. So funny, you know? Always powder shit with MLMs. I'm sure it detoxes you well. Hilarious. Loving the spoilers. Thank you, Tretino. How did the Korean couple get so high up in Amway? Finessing, bro.
Dead Poop 420 dropped a bag
Wow.
40
Dead
Canadian dollars
poop.
pawn super chat. Is
Wow.
that dono gold? Give me a call, I catch up, bruh.
Dead Poop 420 dono in 2025. That's crazy. Y'all remember when Dead Poop thought his credit card got stolen, so he stopped donating because he felt paranoid about it. Now here you go. He's back. Dead Poop, an early OG 2019 goon. That's why he's got the mod wrench right there. Yeah, Dead Poop. You know what? I'm thinking to do a stream in the days coming up here with Gabby, my cousin Gabby, who I streamed with for a long time. On the second channel on Always Marco 2. So if you're not subscribed to Always Marco 2, go check it out. I'm going to do a bonus stream on there, not chatting about MLM, but just like having a silly goose time and talking about life and stuff. So yeah, Dead Poop, I would love to call you on there. But thank you, bro. Appreciate you. I see why I think Marco says all roads lead to Amway. It does. Real estate consultant says, I remember that loser from ACN, Nathan Goldberg. I saw him at the gym one day and told him I was a cop. Really? No way. Okay, let's continue. Multiple MLMs. Here, let's continue Robert's article here. Can we see this? Yeah. Multiple MLMs should all be seen as appendages, grotesque heads of the original MLM monster Nutrilite, hatched in 1945. Every MLM on Earth is an extension of the Nutrilite beast. Amway was an early new head. Tien's in China is a later one. Same creature, more heads speaking new languages. Each new owner that defected from one MLM to launch a new one understood that the only way to get to the top of the MLMs is to start there. Bars.
Bars.
New MLMs are what John Taylor called re-pyramiding. All pyramids tell the latest recruits at the dead bottom of the chain that they are the top of their own endless chain. Re-pyramiding is based on the same lie. It is a trick of the insiders. It continues the recruiting as before, but restarts the rigged pay formula, leapfrogging the founders to where most of the money flows. All MLMs are genetically identical, the same monster scam. As I documented in Ponzinomics, Nutrilite's infamous adoption of its pyramid recruiting plan, later called MLM, was specifically concocted as a scam on the millions seeking work after World War II. It was never an adaptation of direct selling. The commodities to be bought and sold were the recruited salespeople. A viral fraud of this scale required nothing less than big lie propaganda to spread and cultic mental enslavement to control victims and to cover up its trail of destruction. You may think Robert is being dramatic or hyperbolic with his speech here, but this is as tame and matter-of-fact as you can say it. It is a viral fraud of an unimaginable scale that requires nothing less than big lie propaganda to spread and cultic mental enslavement to control victims, that's what they are, and to cover up its destruction. It's not building, it's destroying. Multiple MLMs, multiple delusions. When I first began exposing MLMs, there was already a strong base of anti-Amway activists, some of whom had endured years of mental enslavement and financial loss. Many could not imagine that all other MLMs were also brainwashing, gaslighting, deceiving, and inflicting the same loss rates. Pyramid Scheme Alert was the first educational website focused on MLM overall, treating all MLM as pyramids. Today, there are many more camps of anti-MLM activists organized around opposition to one MLM or another, like the first ones against Amway were. Some focus on individual MLMs as a gateway to explaining the overall fraud of MLM, but others ignore or reject any critique of other MLMs or MLM overall, just as some of the anti-Amway activists did decades ago. Think about Scott Johnson. He's a great example of this. Scott Johnson is as anti-Amway as it gets. He laments the fact that he lost $250,000 pursuing Amway and 12 years of life and watching his boys grow up, you know. But he still thinks that there's a right way to do MLM and that other MLMs aren't frauds. Accepting multiple MLMs leads to evaluating the fake MLM industry data. Yes, GFI is an MLM. It's a spinoff of World Financial Group. Accepting multiple MLMs leads to evaluating the fake MLM industry data. One academic compares MLM's fake retail sales data to the authentic retail sales figures of real businesses online and brick and mortar. The comparison is supposed to measure if the MLM sales model is competitive in the general economy. That's like measuring and comparing counterfeit currency against real dollars, since both facilitate financial transactions. It's a good analogy. The tide is turning slowly. According to MLM's own data, between 2020 and 2024, total revenue in the USA adjusted for inflation declined 24.5%. Wow, that's huge. That's huge. They had a big spike in COVID and then fell off. No, the published dollar amounts are not valid since they are based on projected imaginary retail sales. The yearly differences, however, are usable. The inflation calculation converts the 2020 and 2024 figures into 2025 dollars for a valid comparison. So there's a little graph here that shows the decline. Another measure of change is the value of the larger MLMs traded on Wall Street. These formerly high-flying stocks have dropped like rocks in the last 5 years. Herbalife is down 80%, Nu Skin dropped 78%, Medifast declined 90%, and USANA 55%. Tupperware went bankrupt, Avon was broken up and sold off to MLMs in Asia and Latin America. However, at the same time, the US and global economy is pushing millions more into financial insecurity, making them more vulnerable to MLM's big lie of extra or extraordinary income. And though the reputation of MLM has turned more negative, the many-headed monster is still described by major institutions and even by many in anti-MLM as an industry of independent sales companies, each one different. With the disguise of multiple sales companies still protecting MLM, many powerful truths about MLM that are now being publicized are weakened. Millions more people who otherwise would be properly forewarned are falling victim. The beneficial change that the truth will bring is slowed. Robert Fitzpatrick, July 2025. I want to read this last bit again. With the disguise of multiple sales companies still protecting MLM, many powerful truths about MLM that are now being publicized are weakened. Yes. You know, today I talked about that ice cream place that I went to with my aunts. And it was really interesting. On one side of the ice cream shop, which was in the middle, there was a regular real estate brokerage office. And on the other side, there was an eXp Realty office. To the naked eye, to the layperson, you would think both of these are just real estate brokerages. But this is a great opportunity to talk about the ever-evolving disguise. eXp Realty is a multi-level marketing company. eXp Realty is different to other real estate brokerages in the sense that, yes, you can be a realtor, just like in PHP or World Financial Group or another MLM whose name I won't say. You can get your insurance license. You could be licensed to sell insurance. But they also have this other element where you can make money through recruiting. More realtors who recruit more realtors who recruit more realtors. And because most people don't have experience with real estate or with insurance, it's hard for them to discern the differences. I've used the analogy before that a horse and a chair can have several similarities, but even one of their glaring differences is enough to show that they're not the same thing and that all of the similarities they have are dwarfed by the differences they have. A horse has 4 legs, a chair can have 4 legs. A horse can be brown and black and white, a chair could be brown or black or white. You could sit on a horse and you can sit on a chair. These would all be strong pieces of evidence to argue if you were trying to argue that they were the same thing. However, if I was to say to you one simple difference, that a horse is a living, breathing creature and a chair is an inanimate object made of wood, that kind of dwarfs all of the arguments that were made about why they're similar. Likewise, in an insurance brokerage, yes, you may pay to get licensed. You may pay to bring people, or you may pay to join the brokerage or the firm. Same with real estate. And because of that, brokerages like real estate brokerages build teams of realtors. This is a similarity that you would see in MLM. However, just like with the horse and the chair analogy, one big difference is enough to show that these two are not actually comparable. In MLM, there is an endless chain recruiting scheme at play, which is dependent on recruiting people who pay every month to buy more products and pay more fees and pay for events and merchandise and, you know, the tool scam and opportunity cost and travel and food and whatever else. And there's a complete disregard for actual market demand for the product or service that they're selling. Recruiting is not a means to an end. They're not recruiting more salespeople to sell more product. They're recruiting more salespeople to hit a bonus. The recruiting is the end. That is the end goal. Endlessly recruiting. And this is unique to MLM. No other industry does that. You know, they love to say, oh, well, colleges recruit, the military recruits. Well, colleges don't recruit endlessly. There's a capacity. A college, there's a reason why college has admissions. There's a reason why people make videos on TikTok of them opening their acceptance or rejection letter from Harvard and everybody crowded around the laptop celebrating, because they don't just accept everyone. This is not the case in MLM. You know, Walmart recruits. Walmart has a hiring now sign, or they say that they're, you know, online that you can submit an application. They're hiring to fill roles. They need a new cashier on aisle 9. The last person walked out, or they died, or they quit, or whatever. Once that position is filled, guess what? Walmart's not just endlessly hiring people. And furthermore, those cashiers are not then going and recruiting more cashiers and paying every month to buy Walmart products, and on and on and on and on. So the real estate example, the PHP, you know, insurance brokerage example, these are examples of the disguise that Robert talks about, the very clever disguise that still gives the impression, after all these years that we know the truth, it still gives the impression that there is more than one MLM, or that some of them are unique in some way, or, you know, people just now we had a comment, oh, have you heard of GFI? Is that an MLM? Well, yes, it is. Let me read your comments here. Deadpoop says, too real for this channel. You are too real. But I do have MLM knowledge. My uncle is deep. Okay, we can talk about it. Peace out, Mel. Peace and love. What up, Burger Baron? What makes MLMs any more dangerous than mainstream companies that are doing illegal activities? Well, you'd have to give me an example so that I could give you an apt comparison. But yeah, I can't think of an example right now. But also, I think your question kind of says everything, right? Your question kind of gives us the answer. What makes MLM any more dangerous? I mean, if we're at the point where we're arguing why one evil thing is more bad than another, doesn't that kind of tell us that we're already fucked, you know? You know, maybe it's not more dangerous than a mainstream company doing illegal activities, which again, you'd have to name one, but that's kind of a low bar. Politely Bellico said, I had no idea Tupperware was an MLM. Huh. Yes, they did the party plan model, where instead of recruiting people on Instagram or whatever, you would hold a party in your house. Chad King Patrick, so true. They'll never sell a single property, says real estate consultant. So true. Hopi Nay says, oh my, and real estate is already so saturated. Yeah, exactly. I mean, real estate, you know, what a fucking abysmal hellscape. I can't imagine. And I say this as somebody who, when I was 20, I actually did pay like $800 to sign up to take my real estate licensing course, and they sent me like these 2 big giant textbooks, and I was in the process of like working through the modules, and it was so fucking boring, and it felt like being back in school, and I hated it, and I was like, I'm not fucking doing this, and I just sort of gave up on it. But yeah. Marco, you look like your name is Hussein Abdul Razak bin Abu Kader Binti Al Bashir. Thank you, Tom Wellen. Appreciate you, Tom Wilson. Agents are sitting there twiddling their thumbs right now. Yeah, I just seen a thing before I did this live about how in Toronto, the real estate market is like so bad, like nothing is moving, like nobody's buying or selling. Spec says, but I'm special. Everybody else didn't work hard enough. So true. But Marco, you have a CEO, then 3 board members and 9 regional managers and 27 cashiers. Yeah, you got me. Raji says, an example, Facebook selling our data. I mean, why is the structure so important? Big difference between Facebook selling data to advertisers who can sell you targeted ads and multi-level marketing who are literally causing people to like kill themselves, get divorced, spend all of their money thinking that they're doing something good with their life when actually they're just part of a cult. Yeah, big difference. DTI says, I watched an Enagic webinar recently. They insisted they were not doing MLM or direct selling or network marketing. It's a leveraged business model. That's the new double speak, quadruple speak. Yeah, I've heard MLMs. I mean, wasn't it in my WFG video that they said they had a hybrid model? They called it a hybrid model, which was like, they said it's a mix of a brick and mortar store, a franchise, network marketing, and direct sales. But really, it wasn't any of that. It was just a pyramid scheme. Monsanto poisoning areas they operate in. Nestle is pretty well. Yeah, okay. So you guys are bringing up examples of these companies doing evil, but as far as I know, none of these companies are convincing regular members of the public to pay to join them while then going on to cannibalize their own network of friends and family into joining this enterprise to push Nestle across the globe while paying every month to be part of it and buy more products and recruit more people to also join Nestle. I mean, yeah, we're not doing a good job here making a comparison. Spec says, I deadass saw my friend go from, from Amway to Kangen Water to Forex to a life insurance MLM year after year. Oh my God. I can't believe you've done this. It's just exhausting, you know? Reebok pumps were cooler, the all black ones. Okay. Pokepole says, if I know someone, or Pokepole, if I know someone in a pyramid scheme, what's the best way to get them to leave? I don't care if we stay friends afterwards. You ask a question that I've been asked many times, and it's really difficult. I know it's really difficult to answer that because I don't know the dynamics of the situation. You say you know someone in a pyramid scheme. You didn't say a friend or a relative, and you also say you don't care if you stay friends afterwards. So usually I try to approach this from a topic of like, how can you do it delicately in a way that doesn't jeopardize the relationship. It sounds like you don't care about that, but you also don't want to be like mean to them because they've probably been trained to look at any sort of doubt as being a hater and a dream stealer and a stinking thinking. So I would actually I like what Steve Hassan said, where he said you want to empower people to think for themselves, not info dump on them. And there's a few ways to go about it. One of them that I like is talking to them about their goals pre-cult. So trying to engage with their pre-cult identity, which has been suppressed because now they have this new dream of financial freedom and whatever. Talking to their pre-cult identity, talking to them about what they were looking for or forward to in life prior to joining the MLM. I think that's a good way to sort of get the gears turning again. And on top of that, in terms of like actual tangible advice or, convincing them, I think it's actually really helpful because there are so many MLMs and so many people, they think, oh, well, that's that company. Mine's nothing like that. An example is when I made my World Financial Group videos, I knew a girl from my city who was in Monate at the time. And mind you, my video on World Financial Group was like the first thing I had done at that point. It was new. And she, who was a girl who was in an MLM at the time, Monate, was the biggest fan of this video. She loved this video. I remember she sent me a Snapchat of like, she's like, oh, I showed the video to my dad. My dad thinks it's so good. Mind you, she's in an MLM as she's doing all this, and she couldn't see the similarities to know that her MLM and World Financial Group were, as Robert described, two heads of the same monster. She didn't comprehend that. So talking to people about a different MLM can usually be a good way. You know, talking to them about something that's like adjacent, talking to them about a different cult, for example. Like if they think, oh, I'm not in a cult, that thing is a cult. You could show them like, oh yeah, have you seen this video? Have you seen this documentary? Or have you seen this, you know, Always Marco video or whatever it is about a completely different company, something that wouldn't get them like offended or put them on defense mode, and they would watch it. Like let's say they're in a World Financial Group and you show them a video about PHP. That's something, even that might be too similar, you know. Show them a video about Amway, and I'm sure they'll have a bunch of justifications. Oh, Amway lotions and potions, we're selling a product that everybody needs, life insurance. But you get me. It's like you're trying to show the similarities. Like, okay, look how in this video, how the people are treated if they question the leader. Look at how the leader is treated as like a god. Look at how the whole thing is based on a impossible, endless recruiting chain scheme. Hopefully, that gets them to examine their own thing, even if subconsciously at first. You know, even asking good questions, asking pointed questions that are not attacks. How much have you made? That's a good question. Are you making money from this? Often they'll say no, but you know, I know somebody who is. Sometimes they'll just completely twist language and you need to ask clarifying questions. Like in my I Am Academy video, when I did my first conversation with Fidel, you recall that Fidel said he was able to retire off being in I Am Academy. And I asked him a further question. I said, when you say you retired, did you mean that you actually like retired, or that you just quit your jobs? And he said, well, I just quit my jobs. So that's another thing too, where people will say, my life has changed and I've been able to quit my job. The implication is that they've made a lot of money. But if you pressed further, you might find out that actually means, well, their life changed because their mindset changed and they were able to quit their job, but actually they're sort of taking a gamble in quitting their job so that they could devote more time to this. And yeah, they could quit their job just like anyone could quit their job. It doesn't necessarily mean they're making more money here. They've just been so thoroughly convinced of this thing as being the right opportunity that they have forsaken everything else. So but I'm working on compiling this information that I've learned over the last several years about, you know, how to engage with someone who's currently in one and brainwashed by one, in a way that doesn't jeopardize the relationship or put them away. And if you guys ever wanted, like I said, you're on the chat. It's hard for me to get a feel for your exact experience. But if you guys ever want to talk to me directly and want my input or my advice on dealing with these kinds of situations, I wish I would have had somebody to talk to when I was when my best friend from high school was recruited. And yeah, on my site, alwaysmarcomerch.com, I have one-on-one calls that you can book with me. I decided to launch a calendar so that people could book calls with me because I just get simply too many requests to answer all of them. And you know, think about somebody telling me, hey, someone sends me a DM, hey, my friend is in this company. What do I say? It's like I need to spend time getting information. I need to know about the background. I need to know about the person. I need to know about like how comfortable they are with each other. You know, it's like there's a lot of legwork that I would need to do that's just impossible. Like if I started doing that, I would just spend all day doing that and I wouldn't make any videos. I wouldn't live stream. I wouldn't spend any time with family. I wouldn't do anything else with my life. So, yeah. And I mean, it's also a good way to support the cause, support what I'm doing if you want to book a call with me. So, but I am working on a free guide that you can look to for help about that, and then you know, booking a call with me would be like an optional additional thing if you wanted to get my help in like applying it to your own situation. Okay, let's see your more of your comments here. Thumbs up the ting too.
Thumbs up the ting.
Dr. Hassan says love is stronger than mind control. Bars.
Bars.
Specs, here we go. Specs with a good question. Okay, Amway goes down for good. Fuck. But your wife is now Maggie Gyllenhaal without the possibility of divorce. What you saying? I mean, I can just cheat, right? If it's Maggie Gyllenhaal, I've never cheated in my life. I'm not a cheater, and I don't want anyone to be put off by how quickly the idea of cheating came to my head in this scenario. But if it's Maggie Gyllenhaal, I mean, what else am I going to do? I'm forced to marry her in the first place. Is it even really cheating if I'm forced into a marriage that I don't want to be in and I just did it as a sacrifice to destroy Amway? Yeah, I'll do it, of course, if Amway goes down for good. But my wife is Maggie Gyllenhaal. Yeah, I guess I'll just have to I'll just tell her like, yo, this is not a real marriage. This is a marriage of convenience. Like, I'm still go out here and do my thing, but like on paper we're married. Whatever. Like, we'll figure out the accounting of it. But like, live your life. I'm on my I'm on my own path. Matter of fact, I don't even want to talk to her. Um, Burger Baron says, I've seen nonstop ads for business opportunities and work from home, coaching, and freelancing that have just been women in Enagic, Kangen Water running Instagram ads. Yep. It was a girl in her prime, yes. Yeah, Marco, don't you know don't you know I do MLM videos? Yeah, but I'm in Monet, not MLM. Yeah. Oh, I was reading that comment. I don't do uplines, and you deleted it. Did you smash though? No, I almost did. The Monet girl, but I felt bad because I was like, am I really gonna sleep with this girl when like she's so clearly like on some shit that I'm so against, you know? So far, a guy who at that point was literally early in his career as a YouTuber who exposes MLM schemes, like talking to this girl who's actively in an MLM. But you know what? You know what's fucked up? Maybe in an alternate dimension, that girl had like could have ended up being my wife, you know, but because of her involvement with MLM and me learning more about it and talking more about MLMs on my channel, it got to a point where despite the fact that she loved my WFG video, it got to the point where she actually ended up blocking me because I think I had posted one time something about Monat, and I had directly implicated the company she was in my overall mission of exposing MLM. And yeah, she was fine with me talking about every other MLM, but not hers. So you know, which I have to imagine is probably the same type of visceral reaction you would get from somebody who was a devout follower of religion A. They probably would be happy with you making endless videos bashing or talking about the shortcomings of religion B, and as soon as you held religion A to the same standard, they would get upset at you, you know. Religion a whole nother thing. What if I don't want a one-on-one call, but I want a notepad to write down notes from your soon-to-be bi-weekly streams? That is such a great question, Burger Baron, because you are not going to believe this. You're really not going to believe this, but on alwaysmarcomerch.com, we have a notebook, the Write This Down journal, the anti-pyramid phone case, the anti-pyramid mug holds so much liquid, it's amazing. The Goon Juice mug. Look at these prices. Look at these shirts. Look at these colors. Look at the colors available. Oh my god. Look at that. Gray, black, navy blue, light blue. You can't make this shit up. It's amazing. Oh, Mel is back. I appreciate you, poke pull. Jerome says, I've dodged 2 MLM organizations and fuck them, anti-MLM for life. Yes, let's go. Says a lot for you to thank you, Hopine. They might go all the way just to lock you into the MLM. Really sad. Hilarious. That was pretty funny, except for what you said about my religion. Yep. Thank you, Jerome. I definitely will. Appreciate you, sir. Appreciate that. I never ran into an MLM recruiter in the wild. Are they very common, or am I just not in their target demographic as an openly gay male? I mean, how does anyone know you're gay? Are you visibly gay, you know? Are you walking around with a chihuahua in your purse, you know, just like being super gay, or no? Because I can't imagine. I mean, I don't think they care. That's another thing that's so insidious about MLM is that, like, you know, a Muslim guy who wants to recruit people to Islam really badly is never going to go up to like a clearly gay guy and be like, brother, you need to come to Islam. But MLM, they'll recruit anybody. It doesn't matter your religion, skin color, sexuality. They'll recruit anybody. They're trying to get that money. Peace out, Mel. Glad you had fun. Can't be using my goon juice mug in front of my family no more, but it's still great. Hilarious. Such a Curb Your Enthusiasm moment in my life that I nicknamed my audience the Goons, and then like a few years later it became popular for like goon to become a euphemism for like yanking it. Story of my life, you know? So funny. What an absolute racket. Insanity. Absolute madness. All right, let's see what y'all saying here. I have the chat open on my phone because I realized that the thing that actually causes the crashes is having the YouTube tab, the YouTube chat open on my computer for some fucking reason or another. It makes no sense. Burger Baron, how much do we need to raise for you to do an entire stream entirely in MLM hype? Write this down vibe. You mimic them so well, dude. To have a full MLM, a full training, a stream that's just a full mindset training, dude. That could actually be so funny to like once a week just do that. You know, just endless motivational babble. Oh my god. And that's the thing is I could do it so well. I could do it so well. And Magic's top Canadian recruiters are a gay couple from Vancouver. I bet. Yes, just as religious people think every other deity is false except the one they believe in. So do MLM cats think every other MLM is a scam except the one they are in. So true. Marco Mastermind, I got you. Let's see. Yeah, I was telling my nieces the other day about Scientology. They don't know anything about Scientology, so I was telling them about it. And I was like, yeah, well, they believe that this ancient space overlord named Xenu trapped a bunch of people in a volcano and their souls exploded and came to Earth, and now we all have millions of things living inside of us called thetans, and we have to pay money to Scientology for them to hook us up to an e-meter and do auditing sessions so that we remember the traumas of our past lives and we can get the thetans out of our body. And then you level up the ranking system by spending more money and you become operating thetan 1 and then OT2, OT3, all the way up and up and up and up until you're friends with Tom Cruise and you've eliminated all of the thetans from your body and you can do superhuman feats of, you know, amazing mental whatever. You can even fly. And my nieces looked at me like there's no way that that's a real thing. And I told them like, yeah, we have a Scientology office in Edmonton, downtown Edmonton. They were like, let's go there. I was like, no, we're not going to go there. And then we were on a walk and I was like, that sounds pretty ridiculous, doesn't it? Right? And they're like, yeah. And I said, does it sound any more ridiculous than people believing that a woman who was a virgin gave birth to a baby and then that baby grew up and his own father, who was omniscient and all powerful, organized his brutal murder and crucifixion only for him to forgive himself so that he could appease himself and then send himself back down to Earth 3 days later to be alive for a little bit longer just to die again in a remote part of the world where people hadn't even begun to read or write, and we got many different interpretations of the Bible, and now here we are 2,000 or however many thousand years later, and we're still blowing each other up in the Middle East because of you know, the differences between what your holy book said and what my holy book said. They're 13 and 10, by the way. It's not like they were 5
John
years
Reardon dropped a bag 2 yen. Oh, pun. Super chat. Alex Morgan has screwed more teenagers than Jeffrey Epstein.
old. So fucking true. Thank you, John Reardon. Yeah, wow. Jeffrey Epstein. Yep, Alex Morton has screwed more teenagers than Jeffrey Epstein. In a different meaning of the word screwed there for sure. But yep, I would agree with that. That's as a matter of fact, that's absolutely not even arguable how true that is. Because think about Alex Morton. How many times has he stood on a stage in front of thousands of teenagers, you know, robbing them, defrauding them, lying to them? Way more. I mean, just one stadium alone that Alex Morton has spoken in is more teenagers than Jeffrey Epstein could have ever gotten a massage from in his whole fucking life. So, you know, that's definitely true. Both Jewish, by the way, but, you know, just pointing out a similarity, not making a blanket statement. It's an interesting coincidence. That's all. Yeah, Benjamin remembers lettuce, bread, shmooly. I need to figure out where the fuck is my cowboy hat? I think I gave it to my friend Connor. I need to get another cowboy hat, man. I should get another cowboy hat. Thumbs up the thing. I'm gonna get another cowboy hat. Actually, let me text my friend and ask him, do you still have my white cowboy hat? Question mark. Let's see. Thank you again, John Reardon. I really appreciate you, man. Thank you. If I'm back in Japan, John Reardon, we got to link up. I Googled John Reardon and it says Canadian actor. Is this you? It can't be. Anyways. What do you guys think about me doing some streams where I like sort of just talk about current events and post videos about that on my channel too? Sort of veering off from just talking about MLM to talking about like my general thoughts on things, because I have thoughts on many things. And you know what's interesting too? I did a video about Will Smith and Chris Rock the day after the Will Smith Chris Rock Oscars thing happened. And that video got like, I don't know, I think it was like 70,000 views. Let me check. Manage videos. It's not on my channel right now. It's like private. Will Smith. 69,000 views. And I thought I gave a really good breakdown of the Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, Will Smith, Chris Rock slap, and talking about Jada Pinkett Smith as well. I thought I did a really good job talking about that, because I had brought up some things that I'd never seen anybody else cover in their videos on it, and even a couple of the TikTok clips went crazy talking about that. So I don't know. Try to see how it goes. So true. Funny, I'm painting with concrete cowboy hat. Hell yeah. Yes, do the news. Okay. I mean, I could always post the clips on my second channel as well, but you get me. That's all I got for y'all today. But we'll be back. I'm thinking before we even do next Wednesday and Saturday stream. By the way, next Saturday, I'm preempting that there's going to be a family event. So if that's the case, I'll just either move the stream to Friday before, or I'll do it the Sunday after. But join the Discord if you're not in there, and I'll post in the Discord when for sure it's going to be. Wednesday, we're still on for. And I'm going to try to do another one as well. I don't know what day, with my cousin Gabby on my second channel. So if you're not subscribed to the second channel, also hit that up. Always Marco 2. I'll post the link in the chat for that as well right now. Right meow there. All right, well, we did it. Do old shows. What do you mean by that? Like old TV shows? All right, well, appreciate you guys. And thank you for watching and supporting, and I'll holla at you next time. Peace.
Marco.